Jai Shri Gurudev. Good morning, children. Hope you are all fine and safe. Children, let us move on to the next paragraphs of the second unit, Sir CV Raman. So, we have already studied about his parents, his childhood, and his education. Even though his relatives are not interested in his science, physics, choosing the science, Raman wanted to continue with this science. So, he, as I told you in the previous sessions, he has completed his MA, and after his MA, Raman wanted to go to the United Kingdom for higher studies in science. But his health broke down again and he could not go. Children, I have explained you in the previous sessions that Raman was interested in science subject, but he completed his MA in physics, and usually when from his childhood his health was not so good. Frequently he used to get fever. So after completing his master degrees in physics, he wanted to go for higher studies for UK, United Kingdom. But again his health broke down and he could not go. So he fell ill. So he was not able to go to UK for his further studies. This was the greatest disappointment in his life. His relatives asked him to give up his study of science and take a competitive examination in Calcutta in history and economics. Children, this made the health issues made him a great disappointment. So even though his relatives asked him to give up the subject of science, and they wanted him to take the competitive exams in Calcutta, and they want him to go through the studies in history and economics. So this was the pressure from his relatives and his family members, but as you know, Raman was interested only in science. Raman did so and got along well with his new subjects. He got the first place in the competitive exams and was appointed Deputy Accountant General in 1907 at Calcutta. Children, as the wish of his relatives, he did so. He took the competitive exams and he studied in history and economics. So, but he was not disappointed in these things. He got first place in his competitive exams and he was appointed as Deputy Accountant General in 1907 at Calcutta. His relatives perhaps felt happy to see that Raman had settled down well in his life. But Raman was not happy. How could a scientist like Raman put up with the life of a Deputy General Accountant? Children, Raman's relatives were happy, but he was not happy. Why? Because his favorite subject was science. He could not give up that. He was not happy with the Deputy Accountant General. The job he was not satisfied, but his relatives thought that he settled down in his life. But what is the reality? Raman was not at all happy. He felt like a fish out of water in his new post, but he still had hopes of becoming a scientist and was waiting for an opportunity. Children, when we take out the fish from the water, how it struggles to survive the life, isn't it? So even the condition of Raman was like a fish out of the water. He was struggling. He was not at all comfortable in his new post. But he had hopes that one or the other day he'll become a scientist. He was waiting for an opportunity. Even as Deputy Accountant General, Raman mixed with scientists and took interest in science. One day, while returning from his office, what happened, children? So, as he was the Deputy Accountant, he mixed up, even though his profession is different now, his job is different now, he mixed up with so many scientists and he took more interest in science. So, something happened one day while he was returning from his office. Now, let us see what happened. He saw a banner outside a building on which was printed the Indian Association of Scientists. At the sight of that banner, what he did? Children, while he was coming home from his office, he saw a banner. What was that banner? The Indian Association of Scientists. All the scientists were associated and they made an organization. They founded an organization called the Indian Association of Scientists. At that sight of that banner, he felt very happy. Raman got off the moving train and went to meet the scientists who had gathered in that building. So what happened, children? He was moving in the train while going home. He saw this banner, the group of scientists, the association of scientists. He felt very happy. He immediately jumped off. He was jumped from the moving train. He showed himself from the moving train and he wanted to meet all the scientists who gathered in that building. So he jumped immediately from the moving train. Some time later, when he was in Rangoon, he learnt that an institution had bought a piece of modern scientific apparatus. He hurriedly put on his clothes and went to have a look at it. Such was the interest he had in science. See, children, for the science he was never bothered about his life. Because of a board, he jumped from the moving train without hesitation. So this was the incident. And when he was in Rangoon, he learned that an institution had bought a piece of modern scientific apparatus. He came to know that so many apparatus, the scientific experiments, things were brought in an institution. He hurriedly put on his clothes and went to look at it. So he was so curious to see all those apparatus, all those instruments. So such an interest he had in science. So he was not hesitating for anything. Wherever he see the word science, wherever he hear the word scientist and he come to know about some science methods and methodology means he used to run away towards that. So this was the habit of Raman. So much keen interest he had in science. Children, this was the thing which we have studied today. Thank you. Let us go through the next video for the next session. Children, all of you go through this, whatever we have done in 2 videos and revise that, read that, and if you have any doubts, please call me to ask the doubts, clarify your doubts. Thank you, children. Stay home, stay safe.